there is no Nature's Prophet, I'd be down with him maxing out Whirling Death over Timber Chain, but in the current situation, like, I can't really fault him too much for what he's doing.
We're going to see some movement from Eosin here. He hasn't obviously gotten any access to his own jungle since he has been focused on the top lane here. So going for 2 points in Burrow Strike at level 3 and getting the boots up here, he really does need to make some things happen. He is very reliant on a little bit of kill momentum, and I expected there to be a little bit more action here on the top lane, to be honest. It's been rather passive. Lance finding 25 last hits, Mirana finding 19, but like you said, there has been no blood spilled here. Now, we do see Eosin dropping down a ward that I believe that's been pinged out since it is under the Observer ward of the Dire, but more importantly, just his position. They realize that he is in mid, he can't help top, and if they want to try to converge on those heroes up there, I think Purge is a pretty easy hero to kill if he's not hugging his tower hard.
Indeed, and we're seeing Bambo do a little bit better in this bottom lane. Look at that. Any time that there's a pounce, well, we're seeing Bambo just Timber Chain out of there, but he's got to be very careful. DDZ, he's joining the fray as well. If he gets a leap, they're going to be able to kill Zexy Bambo. Don't even need the leap. They get the last final hit. So already, Bambo is just not having a great time in this bottom lane.
Yeah, he really just got the short end of the stick on this one. I mean, the first blood momentum is just so strong. On top of that, a full Wrath of Nature. Very well done by DDZ. He essentially just hit him with a Sunstrike with just how much burst damage he was able to jump in, and then, of course, teleporting himself to set up those last couple hits. Very good movement there. Eosin stalking up in the mid lane. He was leeching a little bit to get some good free solo experience, but now has to really be the one to keep Blitz up as DDZ and Mosin are kind of converging on him. But diving deep, Blitz is doing some damage to DDZ. If they can get the Burrow Strike in, that's an easy kill, but Eosin is locking the trees, and there's going to be a Wisp to come in. They're going to be able to go for a 1-for-1, and now Blitz is out of mana. Mosin doesn't have a burn, but will soon have a stun, and I think that's going to be enough. No, he went for Carapace there, and that is not going to be a kill. Xiangzai is on the hunt, but I don't think he can close the distance by himself. Running through with the Shadow Dance passive. It's going to be Mosin with the stun, but will the Spirits be enough? Nice tether, nice damage coming out, but Blitz has enough mana, and he will jump to the high ground.
Alright, so Blitz escapes. He's just going to go ahead and teleport back to home base. In the bottom lane, though, Xiangzai, he's getting a little cheeky. Bambo is angry, man. He's got his level 6 now, so he was able to put the hurt on Slark, but, the Shadow Dance regeneration will keep him pretty okay as far as that lane's concerned. And one thing I really want to kind of talk about a little bit, Blaze, is the Nature's Prophet pick. I feel like this hero has just put a huge wrench into Zephyr's plan. In the tri lane up top, if there's any trouble, he can just port up there, and in the 1v1 fight in the bottom lane, again, he can TP, which is what he's doing right now. Bambo deciding to teleport away. Yeah, he'll be able to escape that one. It did look a little scary for him, though. But, man, this Nature's Prophet is just... I feel like he's really, like, the most annoying hero that could possibly be picked against Zephyr in this current draft.
Oh, top. There's going to be a Doom out on Corey. Cannot leap away. Will the Scorch Earth damage be enough? He gets defensively disrupted, but that just sets up Johnny for some long-range spirits. In fact, they're going to kill off both of them, taking down Purge with the Wisp and DDZ teleporting in for that kill. They are really just getting a full handle on this game, and this is not how Zephyr wanted to start it out. They need so much to happen in the next few minutes with the Sand King. He needs to start farming the jungle rapidly or to be able to assist in some kills, because if they don't find some traction somewhere on the map, they're going to have a really bad time. In fact, Blitz getting stunned out, he's just going to get harassed back. He does have haste, he does have plenty of mana, so there's no way to bring him down, but they're also just suppressing him so that he can't be as active as he'd like to be, and that, of course, means that it's going to be harder for him to snowball. In fact, if you look at DDZ's item build, look how tanky this guy has decided to be. Actually, down bottom, Xiangzai will fall, just completely underestimating Eosin's potential and patience down on bottom lane.
Oh, Bambo's got to be careful. We hear some trees, and Nature's Prophet looking for him, but Bambo decided to kind of go in the right location. Even Eosin nearby to help out, but he actually has to be careful. He's going to go ahead and TP away, but oh my gosh!
That's awkward.
That is awkward, because eventually someone's going to come there and kill him off, and Lance is moving in.
Hadouken! There we go.
Yep. Gets the kill with the shockwave. So despite Zephyr picking up a kill, it was repaid in full, and both of their heroes had to go home anyway behind that.
Are fortified.
Yeah, I expected him just to Sandstorm immediately. They obviously didn't have any detection. Down up top, Xiangzai pouncing away from the arrow. Otherwise, would have been a guaranteed hit. But Slark just having the instant cast mobility, it's just not going to work out too well. While Johnny is on the sidelines here, just sort of leeching and not looking for his opening. If they can get the tether slow, they're in business. But missing the pounce, just sending a few right clicks, and it's actually going to be mid lane where Sexy Bamboo delivers a huge amount of damage to that ultimate, and he will be able to get the second kill of the game for him.
Yeah, Sexy Bamboo, that's a very nice kill for him to pick up. He's definitely going to have a lot more momentum back in his court thanks to that kill. He can kind of work on his way eventually towards a Bloodstone. And also, Bamboo's picked up a bottle, interestingly enough. So that's not something that you see too often on off-lane Timbersaws. But, I mean, I guess he's in the middle lane now. He plans on being very active with that hero. So I'm down with the bottle if he plans on being very active. It seems like in the top lane, they're going to have Initiation Purge. Oh, he almost dodged the stun, but everyone's going to come in blitz. He's going to get the kill on Slug. Now he's down, moving forward, and it looks like they're going to get Mosin. Zephyr coming back with a vengeance, but it may not be over. Lance, he's looking for a Prime Doom target, but going to get stunned, and I think he's just a little bit too tanky. DDZ coming in as well, putting Corey in the trees. He's not getting out of that one. And with IO coming out as well, rest of Zephyr will have to retreat, but still, overall, definitely a favorable trade for them. 2 for 1. And with the score being 5-7, Zephyr are at least putting themselves on the board.
Yeah, and actually might get a kill here. Sexy Bow has DD, has a lot of damage with the help of Blitz, and yeah, they will get that nice little pick off on a relatively tanky hero. This is a Drum's Doom we're talking here, but one thing I want to mention is that fight wouldn't have been nearly as effective for Zephyr if IO had his full mana bar. He had 2 charges of Magic Stick, and then he was still like maybe 10 mana off of his relocate. He hit level 6, was ready to jump somebody in, but because of how much mana Tether costs, that just wasn't an option. So he ends up waiting until essentially the fight's over, and then they reinitiate to bring down Corey. But it just wasn't the timing they were looking for, just not the mana pool they were looking for Johnny. So they didn't get all the troops rallied, and now
I think we're going to see an attempted gank on DDZ. Yep, in comes Storm Spirit. 1 jump, 2 jumps. Yeah, he's going to get him. Follow-up stun from Mirana. And there's going to be a death.
But look how tanky he is. Like, he was able to survive so long against that. Bought out essentially his full mechanism, just needs 400 gold. He didn't lose any unreliable off of that one. And, yeah, he's 2 bracers, 1 power treads, and he's going to have a mech. Even if Blitz gets this Orchid out at an incredible time, he still can't solo kill him because of how tanky this build is for DDZ.
I know, the double bracers plus power treads opening from the Nature's Prophet. I guess that's the way he wants to do it.
Top lane?
Oh, top lane though. Bamboo, nice. He jukes, but the problem is he's doomed up. He's probably dead at this point as well. We have a TP coming in though. 1 TP comes in, it's Aosin. And he's gonna go ahead, use his ultimate. Lance, he's like just kind of stuck in the middle there. Sandstorm follow-up, a lot of Arrow is low on health. We're seeing the Tether relocate back to home for Lance.
Nice.
But they still kill off Slark. Zephyr with some good rotations.
Yeah, it did force the buyback out, but they are going to get the Wisp too. Johnny, there's no way he gets out of this situation. Yusin only has to land a Burrow Strike, and he is gone. And that is going to be a very nice turnaround. I mean, they didn't even lose in that one. Like, they lost the Timbersaw, he buys back, and they're able to turn it around with those 2 kills. This is not what Arrow expected out of their essentially second relocate of the game.
Blitz, he's going in. Another hit or 2 on Mosin. The Spike Carapace is used, and he is dead. Blitz 3-0. This guy is starting to get out of control. We're seeing Zephyr for the first time this game on top of the kill charts, 10-8. They're looking pretty good.
Yeah, as far as mid to late game, I feel really strong about their team fight potential. I mean, the Sand King doesn't even have his blink yet, and he's already doing some good work. We are seeing a little bit of Moonlight Shadow to make sure they don't get engaged on in the wrong spot. But one thing I want to mention is that now Arrow have their field medic here. They have DDZ's mechanism up. This is pretty much a really important theme for their strategy. They know that Zephyr are going to be attacking them, quick zips in from all angles, and they need a response team. So this is going to be DDZ. He just teleports right on his ally, shift Q's a mechanism, and that might be enough to keep them alive from Blitz's initiation. If they can do that, they can try to follow through, get some good spells out, and I think they could turn a couple things around. So it really comes down to initiation and how reactive DDZ can be.
Oh, DDZ trying to get a bit aggressive on Bambo. Puts him in some trees, but he just kind of whirling deaths out of there. There's the glyph being used in the top tower. And Zephyr's nearby. I don't think they can save, though. So the top tower does end up going to Arrow. You can tell Zephyr they kind of wanted to defend, but it just felt like they didn't have everyone in the right positions. So bottom lane, Corey, he has to be careful. Mosin's right around him, and there's going to be a relocate.
What was that relocate? That was very non-predictive, but I guess they're trying to pincer him in, teleport from Nature's Prophet. They just can't get close enough. Corey able to leap, phase, drum away, no problem at all. And that's a couple of wasted rotations, but I think they will be able to turn this into a tier 1 tower if Zephyr aren't on the defensive immediately.
I think they're going to move in onto the mid lane. There's going to be a stun follow-up from Blitz using that Electric Vortex, and the rest of the team joining in. And Slark unable to use the Shadow Dance. Zephyr have a very highly mobile and just aggressive team. They're a strike force, man. They're looking for people to gank and just pick them off one by one. It even feels like the IO relocates can't match the aggressive nature that Zephyr's doing right now.
Tower dropping low. It looks like they're almost going to put in deny range here. Blitz is smoked up. He wants to go, and if he doesn't get doomed, they're going to win this fight handily.
Oh, they got him. Yep, Arrow follow-up as well. 2 deaths now, including the Slark. They're going to move in the Mosin. The Spike Carapace is there, but Zephyr, the entire party is here. Double kill for Sexy Bambo. 13-8. Zephyr, they're all over the place, man, but they are getting the kills, Blaze.
Most definitely. Now, they did miss out on the tier 1 tower deny. That's kind of unfortunate, but getting kills on a core hero like Doom right now, this is the ideal time. He really doesn't pack that much of a punch. He is very mobile with the Blink Dagger, with the phase drums, so he is able to get into the right position, and he should be able to get a spell or two off, but the bottom line is he's not right-clicking, he's not emanating the auras that you usually see in a mid-game Doom, and now we're going to see action.
Alright, in comes the relocate. Nice. Triple man Burrow Strike as well. It's going to be a big back-and-forth action. Doom, one of them's down, and Zephyr end up not getting very good trade here at all, actually. The relocate is gone, but 3 members are dead. And Radiant Courier ended up dying behind this as well.
Wow, that's unfortunate. I mean, it didn't really have that much on it, just a few items here and there, but man, that was just exactly what Arrow needed. They got the full Wrath of Nature. DDZ was freshly level 11, and they were able to do crazy amounts of damage. And most importantly, Eosin, he went for a big play. He went for the Burrow Strike out and then Epicenter right in front of their faces, and he was almost getting it off. I think it was 0.2 seconds off of the channel, but he did get killed right before a cast, and that essentially made it so that 2 of his allies could not escape. The Doom on Timber, on point as well, and a really successful movement from Arrow.
I think Zephyr may have gotten a little bit overconfident after that last team fight, or I guess pickoffs you could say, and that's why they were down at that tier 1 tower trying to go ahead and pick that off. So I feel like momentum is shifting a little bit away from Zephyr. It's still anyone's game at this point, very close. 13 into 11, 18 minutes into the match. Very aggressive game though, lots of ganks and team fights, which is what I love to see in Dota, coming out from both ends.
Yeah. The one big thing that Zephyr's missing is this Blink Dagger and Sand King. Like, he actually can't keep up with his own teammates, which is kind of weird to say about a Sand King, but who's usually the initiator. But in this case, it's absolutely true. I mean, the mobility of Mirana, of Storm Spirit, of Timbersaw is absolutely insane. And Eosin, he really needs that Blink to open up new avenues of attack for that hero. He's actually at level 10, so once he gets his Blink and level 2 Epicenter, he's going to be able to really dominate the fights. Since we don't see any BKBs, we don't see any pipes, just the mechanism, it has a lot of potential, but now Young Zai, will they actually find him out here? Just a little bit of clear vision from Remnants, and yes, they will find him.
Yeah, there's a lot of DPS follow-up. In comes Johnny to try to keep him alive, but no, we're going to see Slark get blown up, stun on Purge, and he's going to go ahead, lock the Doom into the Shadow Prison. But the rest of Arrow, they're dying behind this. Lance trying to find someone to pick off, realizing that he's not going to get anyone, blinks away from the action. And who is their potential target in DDZ? That's the question. Zephyr is still nearby, but Spurge, he's teleporting away. I think Eosin, as well as Corey, are just going to have to back it off and call it a day.
Yep, seems appropriate. The Moonlight Shadow is actually extremely strong here. As far as detection goes, we don't see any on the side of the Dire, and that's actually a huge mistake. I mean, you look at it, Moonlight Shadow, Sandstorm, both very, very relevant as far as keeping these heroes alive, and the fact that Zephyr have more detection than Arrow do is kind of ridiculous. I mean, of course, sentries are really good at stopping Nyx's initiations, but all in all, that I would say Arrow need detection even more.
I mean, what do you think about the IO pick from Arrow? It's a hero you generally see paired up with heroes such as Chaos Knight or iconically Tiny, sometimes even Gyrocopter, but I don't know, I'm just not feeling it this game.
Late game, I can feel it for the Slark. The Overcharge will still be relevant 50 minutes into the game, and that's going to be when the Slark really is going to have the items to compete with Zephyr's lineup. But for right now, it's not accomplishing much. He's a walking relocate. He can bring somebody to the action, but he himself doesn't actually contribute all that much. In fact, I'm looking at his item build, and it's a little bit weird. I have no idea what he intends to do with this Staff of Wizardry. Maybe a Force Staff. Maybe, I don't want to say a Dagon, but I don't know. It's just, maybe they want to burst somebody down and take him out of the fight real quick. Get a Doom out, throw some nukes. I don't know.
I don't know. The only thing I can think of is a Force Staff. Like, that's the thing that I would imagine.
And that's really not a Wisp item, to be honest. Like,
I know, it's weird, but I don't know, man. It is a bit of a weird pickup. And to the middle lane, there's a lot of heroes kind of poised on both ends of the river. And the thing is, Blitz knows he can't go in and pick someone off because everyone else is there from Arrow. So he has to be quite careful with who he decides to move in on. But you know what? Lance is actually somewhat far away. If he continues to stay in the jungle and farm, I could see Zephyr potentially picking off someone, but no, Arrow is going to just move away for now, kind of rotate away, more towards the jungle. Zephyr's still 5-man up, however, really looking like they want to gank somebody.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good vision out for Arrow, though, so that's going to require a Smoke of Deceit from Zephyr if they're going to make anything happen, and we see some pinks come out, so Moonlight Shadowing in, that's another way to do it, and like I said, no Sentry Wards, they're just going to be completely caught unawares if Zephyr moves in the right direction. This should be Mosin's death, but we'll see.
Indeed, and Moonlight Shadow, oh, just barely missing Mosin, but they're going to catch Sing Shy, and he's leaping away. Silence those. Follow-up from the Orchid on Blitz, and yeah, blowing him up. There's just nothing he can do. This Slark started off with a great game. He got first blood and then a second kill. Slark is now 2 in 6th place. He cannot be happy about this, but we're going to see the rest of Arrow in the Roshan pit. And if this is discovered, this could be absolute disaster for them. Yeah,
EP2 is up for Eosin, and I think they're going to be able to scout it out here. Actually, I would be surprised at seeing, oh, they had a Sentry Ward down, they're going to go in, get some vision out, and now Mosin in a bad spot with the Orchid up.
Yeah, but the Doom is on Blitz. He's going to be useless for this fight. Trees putting both Sexy Bambo and Eosin out of the way for a little bit, but behind that, they do kill off Sand King. And we're seeing Arrow back away for a little bit. But in comes Blitz. The Doom is over, and they're going to go ahead. Oh, Electric Vortex on Doom. Take him out before he can teleport home. Zhang Shai's got to be careful. He's nearby. He just used the Dark Pack. He's going to get silenced. Dying once again.
I don't know about that. Like, they were trying for something. Like, I could see DDZ canceling his teleport like 4 or 5 times, trying to find an opening, but there wasn't one there. And Xiang Zai just throws his life away a second time.
Man, that was not the best fight for Arrow. Zephyr, they did lose Bambo. It was still a pretty darn good trade for them.
I just don't know why they responded with that situation. We just lost our Slark. We're now 4 versus 5 up against a mobile teamfighty lineup, and we're going to go for Roche. That just was, like I was trying to say, is that it almost works just because it's unexpected. But they're too mobile, they got the vision, and they even saw Nyx under the Sentry Ward for a quick moment, so the jig was up pretty quickly, and they were able to jump on them. The only reason that fight wasn't absolutely atrocious is because of this fresh BKB on Doom. He used a 10-second BKB charge, and it actually mitigated a ton of damage. It ignored a lot of the magical damage coming out, and he was able to persist through the initial fight, but of course, as you said, as soon as the Doom wore off, they got it once again.
It's going to be up to Blitz to try and avoid this Doom wherever possible. I feel like if they can't shut him down in these team fights, then Arrow are going to really be in for a tough time. Blitz does have a double damager in his inventory, but with that Ogre Club, looks to be working towards a BKB, so probably we will not be seeing Lincoln Sphere on him this game. And Zephyr, they're smoked up, heading towards the middle lane. It looks like we're going to have a very big engagement here. And in comes Aosin, nice stun on Lance as well. Can they blow him up in time, though? The BKB is on. Io as well, helping him out. They're able to just absolutely destroy Storm Spirit. They get the Shrouded Demon as well, and Sexy Bambo looks to be the next target. He's dishing out the burst damage he can, but it's not good enough. And that BKB, that BKB on Lance definitely saved his life, and this pretty much means Arrow is going to get a free Roshan following that team fight.
Yeah, Roche is a lot better for Zephyr in general. The Aegis is so much better on Storm Spirit, on Timbersaw, even Mirana is pretty good with it. Arrow don't have a great natural Aegis carrier. I'm sure they'll put it on maybe Xiangzai. I don't think they'll put it on Lance, will they? No, Xiangzai will get it, but when he dies the first time around, he still loses all of his Essence Shift stacks. So it's good, but it's not the end of the world if they do have to try to face him twice over. And his Shadow Dance cooldown is certainly long enough that they don't have to worry about that in twice over. But yeah, like you said, the BKB on Doom was instrumental in them taking that fight, and they will get a nice chunk of golden experience out of it. We do look at the graphs now. Arrow up 3,000 gold after that Roche, and they're actually closing out the distance as far as experience as well.
Indeed, I feel like Zephyr, they need to look for the pickoffs once again. That's where they were shining. When it's not an entire team fight, they have these heroes that just move in, get the ganks, and then get out of there. If they can continue to do that once more and get a few more pickoffs and, you know, maybe complete another item or two on their end, maybe pick up a few more towers as well, I think that's what Zephyr needs to kind of think about doing right now, because these team fights are just so hard to deal with when they're pretty much going to have a guaranteed doom on Blitz. And that does seem to be the primary target for that ability, and if he's not going to go for a Lincoln Sphere as well, it's definitely a big concern as far as these fights go. Yeah,
I'm actually kind of surprised at the BKB route. It doesn't avoid all that much, but of course you have to consider Nature Prophet did go for an Orchid, and that's something that you just can't let sit on you for the full duration in the middle of a team fight, because that means that even if they don't commit the Doom to him, they put it out on Corey or Timbersaw, then they can still get that Orchid silence and still make it very difficult for him to outmaneuver. And of course DDZ is always going to be in the fights more actively. Like, sure, there's a blink on Doom, sure there's a relocate to bring him to the fights, but DDZ with that global teleport can be anywhere he wants to be, and that is a very problematic situation. Actually, gonna teleport in, seeing Purge with this Vendetta up. They can just blink stun him and he should be dead. They will.
There's the stun follow-up, and Blitz is nearby, but he's backing away. I don't think he can save his... Nah. The Orchid. I got him. Well, Arrow's the team that seems to be doing the picking off now, and I think the momentum has shifted, Blaze. I think it's shifted. I'm feeling like it's in Arrow's court at this point. And they're gonna go ahead and get a silence on Bambo, but very smartly he's going to TP away before anyone else can come in for the party.
And that could have been a guaranteed tier 2. They had 3 people down there. They already have it down to 2/3 HP, but Blitz sees the opening, clears out the waves, no problem. And yeah, that was actually kind of a misplay to some extent. If they had a stun, obviously that another confirmed kill on the Timbersaw would have been great, but it just didn't come out at the right time. So they will force a fortification. They will most likely take this tier 1 tower, but everybody's back up for Zephyr, and I think they want to fight this.
Oh, and Mosin, he misses stun. He's silenced up as well. The Spike Carapace is down, but everyone else from Arrow joining into the fight. Shangzai, it looks like the Aegis maybe popped. And yeah, it's going to go down. Lance as well, low on health. DDZ, he's dead, out of the picture. Io extremely low. Another right click and he's down, but Zephyr, they've lost Storm Spirit and Aosin. So 2 for 2. And the Aegis pop as well.
Oh, nice!
They get Shangzai, and it looks like they are probably going to get him just a few more right clicks. Indeed they do, but buyback from DDZ. He's here, he's in the middle of the fight as well. Johnny, helping out with Mosin back as well. They should get Sexy Bambo. He's out of there thanks to the Vendetta kill. They're blinking in, they want to get Purge as well. And yeah, stuck in the trees, right clicks, it's enough.
Yeah.
The experience from FO, those buybacks. definitely instrumental into helping them get a few more kills.
Yeah, if they didn't re-engage with DDs either, it would have been a tremendously lost fight for them. A couple of great movements from Eason, of course, getting like a two-man burrow and the full epicenter on almost the entire team. We saw defensive disruption on the Doom to wait it out so that Blitz could stay active, and also that last little bit where Slark was on the run, the Mirana actually pounced in front of Slark so that the pounce connected onto Mirana instead of allowing him to escape. So whether intended or not, Corey made a good play there, but the turnaround was all the more effective. Arrow pretty much made it draw even with those buybacks. Sure, buyback is costly, but such a good cleanup from them, cleaning up such important heroes.
And let's go ahead and take a gander at Io's items. Indeed, it is a 4-staff, but
Okay.
he also purchased a gem as well. So this means that the Moonlight Shadow not going to be as effective as it's been earlier on in the match. But I guess a gem makes sense. They kind of need it at this point. Doom looks to be working into that Assault Cuirass with the Hyperstone in his inventory. And Slark just trying to get that BKB because he has died way too many times in these team fights.
Yeah, if he gets the BKB, I think that Arrow are actually in the lead because BKB is so good against Zephyr's team. Sure, you can get Demonic Purge, but if you have the Wisp tethered to you with the Overcharge active and you're BKB'd up as a Slark, you fear absolutely nothing. You're attacking insanely fast, stealing a lot of stats, getting a ton of agility, and they really don't have any way of dealing with you other than defensive disruptions and Demonic Purge. So it's all about Purge's movements against the Slark once the BKB comes out, and like you said, he's very close to a 200 gold off. So we'll have to keep our eye on Xiang Zai. He's going to be the linchpin of Arrow's lineup and when it comes down to this late game. And so it really comes down to his movements and his farm as we move forward. But we look at the other side. We do see Corey farming up pretty effectively. Not as like top of the charts as we often see him, but in this case here, a 12k net worth will certainly do. He's got his Mantle style moving towards Desolator.
Yeah, and something I do want to mention that you kind of briefly talked about is Zephyr. They're mostly magical damage. Corey's really their only true right clicker, and Arrow's End, they have the Slark, Nyx Assassin, Doom, as well as Nature's Prophet that can dish out some pretty sick physical damage. I guess it's kind of half and half for Nyx Assassin, but that Vendetta damage type is physical. So, the Doom and the BKBs, I don't feel like they're going to be as useful on Zephyr's End.
Yeah, and now we see DDZ picking up his Scythe of Vice as well. This is actually looking extremely bad for Zephyr. Like, sure, it's an even kill score, 22 to 22, but at this stage, they're a very momentum-based lineup. They taper off as far as magical damage output, and unless they find easy picks.
That was pretty nice. Blitz just knew where to go, zipped in there, got the kill off, and I don't even think, Spike Carapace was not even used throughout that entire engagement. It just all happened too fast.
Yeah, that Orchid wall midair, walls mid zip, he absolutely cannot respond to that situation. So that was really smooth from Blitz, but also, of course, a bit of a misplay from Mosin. Luckily, he wasn't the one carrying the gem. Usually I would prefer a Nyx Assassin carrying a gem over just a lowly IO, but in this case, obviously, that would have been a huge mistake. So they'll keep themselves in a good spot where they can relocate it or teleport into good fights just by farming up Ancients together, and Mosin will feed until they find their opening.
Well, the IO as well is 5-2 this game, so he's actually died less than everyone else on that end, but we're going to have a relocate, moving on Bambo. He's silenced as well. In comes Lance, and he gets the Doom off. I don't think there's any escape for Timber, so he just has to accept his death.
Yep, trying to lead him on a little bit of a wild goose chase, but he can't suicide with the Bloodstone while he's doomed. It's just him in that spot and in that position, just very limited by the good extensive movements, the relocate, the teleport. Like I said, they send that 3-man gank squad to anybody by themselves, and it's essentially a guaranteed kill because DDZ's Sheepstake is long enough range that they can just always get that disable off, and that's where Lincoln Sphere, of course, would come in handy. But any defensive item is really going to be what they need to make sure. They need to make sure they're in position to team fight at a moment's notice, and of course, defensive items to weather the storm.
Yeah. Well, Corey's decided to go into a Desolator, adding a lot more right-click damage to their team, which I guess they do really need. He doesn't seem to be a very prime target for Arrow when it comes to these team fights. He is 9-2 after all. So I'm not surprised they decided to go that route. And yeah, I would love to see a Lincoln Sphere or two. Just so you can like stack the buffs as well. If one gets popped, just use another one. On Blitz, for example. I feel like they need to kind of keep this guy alive in these team fights.
I don't feel the status quo really changes with that Desolator. Lance, since the last team fight, picked up an Assault Karas himself, so that's +5 to all his allies, and even more negative impact to the opposition. So I really think that Zephyr have to get these huge pickoffs and control the next 5 or 6 minutes, or it's going to get out of their hands. I mean, Assault Karas, we got the BKB Slark with Johnny sitting on him. This is gonna be so difficult, but the one thing that's going Zephyr's way is the Roche timer. The spawn is not going to be anywhere near the normal time. It is going to be a 2.5 minute spawn, which will take about 80 more seconds for us to see.
Indeed. Look at the warding as well from Arrow. They are pretty darn offensive with these wards. They want to see if there's any easy pickoffs they can get on Zephyr's end, because they do have the heroes to kind of quickly port in and help out. And the arrow actually hits Johnny, but I don't think Zephyr are going to follow this up. Everybody except for DDZ is nearby, and we all know very well that the Nature's Prophet can kind of teleport anywhere on the map whenever he needs to. So I don't know, man. It's feeling like a hard position for Zephyr to be in. They can't really team fight. But I mean, if they let Arrow just farm the entire game as well. Hold on a second, bottom lane. Corey, he got sheeped, silence follow-up, there's a leap, and a stun confirming the kill.
That's actually the best case scenario for Zephyr. Like, they could have actually lost 2 or 3 heroes there because the relocate was so aggressive, but they were in the right position where it was only going to be the loss of Corey while Blitz maneuvers to farm up the top lane. But this still should be Roche, as they now are making their way there. It has finally spawned, and now this is, once again, the Aegis up and available for Team Arrow. This is where things get very difficult for Zephyr. Even if they hold their high ground, even if they get the best epicenter plus chakram from the Timbersaw that they can possibly imagine, that still isn't going to be able to bring down a full 2,000 HP Doom with evasion, AC, and a 7-second BKB, along with 2 Slarks, considering this Aegis.
Yeah, I think their best bet is to just kind of try to weather out these BKBs and reduce the charges down to like 5-4 seconds. Maybe at that point they can kind of actually survive in these team fights. It's hard for them to get pickoffs. Pretty much everybody on Arrow have been somewhat consistently traveling together or nearby each other. It's hard for Zephyr to find a pickoff, and they're somewhat blind as well. The wards they have are, I guess, just one kind of near the river in the middle lane, as well as one up at the top, just near that old tier 1 tower. So I don't know, man. It's looking somewhat bleak for them. They're gonna have to have an amazing team fight, like you said, Blaze, if they want to make anything happen. Even then, it still couldn't work out for them. But they are smoked and trying to aggressively move around the map, see if they can find somebody to pick off. But they're going to find the entire squad of Arrow if they move towards the left in this jungle.
I mean, this could be the fight that wins Zephyr the game, but it also could go disastrously for them, consider how stacked Arrow is. But if they kill the Wisp first, that's got to be the primary target, but they jump in.
Oh, they're going to go ahead and silence Slark. He's going to not even get to use his BKB. It's used up, Doom. He's starting to get right-click down. His BKB is down, so he can't do anything. Zephyr, though, they're somewhat split up. DDZ, he's tethered now to IO and just starting to throw out the right-click damage. They get Aeson, they get the Shadow Demon, and they're trying to move on someone else next. Bambo needs to be very careful. He does get IO, though, and picks up the gem. But I'm not sure if he'll be able to survive. He is temper shedding away. I think maybe he'll be able to survive. Well, there's a silence on him. I'm not sure. It's bad, and he's dead. Nice nuke from Doom leveled up to secure that.
They were able to get away from the Slark on his second life. He was kind of rampaging around against Blitz, and Blitz actually dropped down within like 200, 300 HP, but he was able to survive and walk away. But, of course, as we saw, the cleanup was there. Arrow still handily won that fight, and the only thing they did was exhaust BKB charges and take out the Aegis the Immortal.
Yeah, well, considering that, it was like, I mean, obviously Arrow got the better end in that engagement, but I guess that fight proved that we're still seeing signs of life from Zephyr. But as I say that, Nyx Assassin has been deaded. Oh, okay, he's gonna see someone, knows that they're around, and well, this could be a turnaround, but no, there's going to be the relocate. Blitz throws down the BKB as well. They do get the kill on the Nyx Assassin. And in comes Aeocene as well, using that ultimate, but I think he's just going to end up dying. He's silenced. Yep. gets the kill.
2 BKBs. DDZ has a friggin' BKB now. Like, we were talking about the tank build he went before. That's the exact item he wanted to tank even further. He's got his Mechanism and Sheep to be relevant, and his Orchid, of course, to deal with Blitz directly and force him to go to the BKB. And now DDZ has the Black King Bar himself, so able to weather through that epicenter. I mean, if the BKBs weren't there, completely different fight. But they got their initiation, they got the gem, they got everything that they wanted out of that.
I think that Zephyr should have just gave up that fight. I mean, they did kill off Nick's assassin, but beyond that, it didn't really go too well for them. Top lane, though, Bambo. He sheeped up Silence, and Doomed is out of the picture.
Now your tree food.
Ugly stuff. Arrow just completely skyrockets in Golden Experience. There was a very, very even game around the 25-minute mark, but it has changed into something that is completely out of Zephyr's hands, it would seem. They're trying to get that next big item. They could try to go for the Scythe on Blitz. They're trying to just advance a little bit further for Corey to pick up his own BKB, but it just seems like they've got too little going for them right now. They need something tremendous, and with all these BKB charges, they still have to deal with a 9-second BKB on Slurk, a 9-second BKB on DDZ. Even Doom is still sitting on 5 seconds at the least, so they really have these windows of magic immunity that Zephyr's team as a whole doesn't have an answer for.
Yeah, I guess it kind of just comes down to the drafting at the point. You know, the BKBs are really hurting out Zephyr a little bit too much, and I mean they seem like they have a pretty darn solid lineup. But when you look at Arrow and you look at the late game, they're better at getting these ganks off, and they got the BKBs now, so they have the survivability and the straight up DPS that